Hey folks, and welcome to another video of mine. In today's video, we're going to be talking about Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Now, this game initially released for the PlayStation 4, for Windows and Xbox One in November 2019, but it also had kind of a re-release because it released on PS5, Xbox Series X and S in June of 2021. So it's not been around for a long time, but I thought it's the right time to discuss this game because we're just a couple of months away from the sequel, which is titled Star Wars Jedi Survivor. And that's supposed to release in March 2023. So I thought, hey, it's a good time to pick this game up. The memory of this game will stay fresh in my mind and hopefully in yours as well. And I'm going to talk about all the things that I like about this game, some of the things that I didn't like about this game, and maybe some of the points that I'm looking forward to, or some of the changes that I may be looking forward to in the sequel. Now, before I start off this video, I would just like to mention that I make gaming videos like these, or like this particular video. Now, this is not a review. It's not a technical analysis, and I don't get any review versions of the game. Now, what I do is I buy retail units of the game. Speaking of buying, well, the good part is that you don't even have to buy this game. It's on Game Pass. So if you've got access to Game Pass, you could just download it off of EA Play and play it without paying anything extra. Ain't that cool? And apart from that, I would also like to mention that somehow when I was doing a screen recording or a screen capture of this gaming or gameplay, somehow the dialogues did not get recorded properly. So what you may see on screen may feel a little off because unfortunately the dialogues never got recorded. I apologize for that, but I have not been able to figure out why that happened with this game. Generally, when I do a screen recording, the dialogues do get captured. So I may have to go back and check my settings or check why this happened and why it happened on my computer. Speaking of the computer that I was playing this on, I was playing this on a gaming laptop, the Asus ROG Strix G15 Advantage Edition from 2021. Now, this has the Ryzen 9 processor, and it also has 6800M graphics card, which is like a 12 GB GDDR6 graphics card. And I was playing this on my PC instead of on the consoles. Now, I've played this game before in 2021 when it was released initially on the Series S. That's where I played this on. And I didn't get a chance to really complete the game back then. So I thought, let's pick this up. I was almost halfway through, but I never finished it. But now I have completed this game. So my observations to you in this video are after I have completed this game. But like every video of mine, I would first like to give you some information about the game itself. This is specifically for those who have never had a chance to play this game. And there may be spoilers in this video as well moving forward. So in case you're one of those people who don't want to listen to what the game is all about before playing it, well, skip this video right now, go play the game, and then you can come back. But if you are the kind of person who enjoys spoilers before playing a game, hey, this is exactly the right video for you then. With that said, let's get started with the game's information. Now, this is an action-adventure game from a third-person perspective. So it's a third-person action-adventure. This was developed by Respawn Entertainment and it was published by EA, Electronic Arts. Therefore, it is available on EA Play and also on Xbox Game Pass. Now, the story is set in the Star Wars universe, and this is set 5 years after Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. It follows the story of the Jedi Padawan Cal Kestis. That's the protagonist. And you play as Cal. And you become the target for the entire Galactic Empire. And you are hunted throughout the galaxy by the Imperial Inquisitors. Now, the scene that you're seeing as well, the first scene, you had seen the second sister, Trilla, otherwise known as Trilla. She was also a part of the Imperial Inquisitors. And you obviously report to Darth Vader, which you will ultimately get to find out later on in the game. Now, when you start this game off, you start off as a nobody because you are technically a nobody on this planet called Bracca. Speaking of planets, you're going to explore quite a lot of them. In fact, there are many planets that you're going to get to hop onto, like you start with Bracca, that's where you are, and then you move over to a planet called Bogano. where you will ultimately get to find out information on like this ancient civilization called the Zepho people from a Jedi called Eno Cordova. And whenever you have this a word or these couple of words, ancient civilization, it kind of piques my interest, because even if you take a look at the Assassin's Creed franchisee, I'm a big fan of the Assassin's Creed franchisee, and that also speaks of this ancient civilization, the ones who came before. So you even hop onto this planet called Bogano, where you get information about this ancient civilization called the Zepho and the Zepho sages. And then from there on in, you have to travel to other planets, secure something called an astrium, so that you're able to access a Jedi holocron. Now, what exactly is that? The Jedi holocron is nothing but a device, which is like an encrypted device, and it contains the list of all Force-sensitive children. So because the Jedi Order has fallen, you need to complete these quests, finish off these mysteries, so that you can unlock the Jedi holocron, get the names of these Force-sensitive children, and ultimately, you can probably train them, thereby restoring the Jedi Order. So that's what the plot of the game is all about in a nutshell. And again, I apologize if I'm talking about spoilers, but hey, I did warn you. I did warn you before I started this video in full swing. Now, this game started development as an original title unrelated to Star Wars, by the way, but Electronic Arts, it felt the action would work well as a Star Wars game. And it convinced Lucasfilm to authorize and consult on the project. And voila, we have Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order because of that. The game's visuals were influenced by Rogue One and Star Wars Rebels. And while the combat levels are inspired by the Metroid Prime, Dark Souls, or The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, it's kind of a unique experience in itself as well. And throughout the game, as you progress throughout the game, you will be able to use your lightsaber and force powers to just go through all these enemies. And speaking of enemies, you will come across many enemies like stormtroopers. You will come across wild beasts as you explore these various planets. So I would just say that when this game released, the game was received favorably, especially by critics as well. It had favorable reviews. The critics even praised the game's combat, the characters, the performance, the world design. Although it did receive criticisms for its story, technical issues, and lack of polish at release. I'm again specifically mentioning at release because I replayed this game in 2023, and when I replayed this game in 2023, I did not find any of those issues like the lack of polish or any kind of a technical issue. Well, I did have frame drops, but this is subjective, or it's more like conditional. It depends on the computer or the laptop that you're playing this on, or if you're playing this on a console, I don't think you're going to experience a lot of frame drops. And the frame drops also happened because I played this game on high settings. So that may be one of the reasons as to why I had a few frame drops, especially in those transitions between these cutscenes that you're taking a look at and the gameplay. So I do want to talk about the gameplay because the gameplay is pretty interesting. Now, you can obviously use your lightsaber to strike at enemies, or you can even block incoming attacks. And that's pretty interesting. In fact, you can even parry at the right time. If you parry, you'll be able to counterattack the opponent as well. And it's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. Now, these scenes, when you land on these planets, somehow it reminded me of Mass Effect as well. So it had this similar feeling, but this is obviously a more polished version because this was a recent game in comparison to Mass Effect. So I did feel like they did this really well. And before you finally jump onto the gameplay, which I started off on, I'm sorry, I'm not exactly digressing, but I do want to talk about the quality, the level of the character design, the level or the polish in the world building that they have done, or the levels itself, because the entire game, it's been beautifully designed. The characters are great to look at. The motion capture is fantastic. I mean, some of these expressions that Cal has on his face, they are brilliant. And the voice acting is also stellar. You will obviously appreciate how good this game looks. I'm not sure what the early critical reviews meant by lack of polish. I think it's quite a polished game. And I'm playing this in 2023. But even the gameplay experience from 2021, the faint memory that I have of this game, I thought this game was really polished, really, really good looking. So I'm not sure what some of those critical reviews meant when they said lack of polish. So this is obviously a game which you will appreciate. The levels, they reek of a lot of details, like you can go on from these marshy swamps or these grasslands in Bogano over to a very deserted, barren landscape in Dathomir. That's another planet. And then you have the Wookiee homeworld as well, Zepho, where yeah, again, there's a lot of greenery, there's lush greenery, there are forests, etc. And then you even have the planet called Elam, where you have to go seek a kyber crystal because your lightsaber gets damaged in the process of unlocking these mysteries of the Zepho sages. So you have to go to planet Elam, and that's like this snowy, icy, cold planet. So there's quite a lot of variety, and there's a skill system as well. There, with the skill tree, you are able to upgrade your abilities. You are able to upgrade your, you could say, the way you use your lightsaber and your force powers as well. And even the skill tree and the way you evolve in this game, it feels very organic. So nothing's forced. When you unlock those skills as well, it feels like you earned it, like you deserve it. So even the way you progress through these skills, it's quite good. Very good, in fact. And you have many characters that you will come across as well. BD1, who is going to be your faithful, you could say, companion in this game, is a very lovely, dovely little droid or bot. And he accompanies you in your journey, is more like your partner in this game. And he's adorable. And it's really good to see, all these things come together beautifully. But I do want to complain about one major thing that I felt took away that immersiveness from the game. And that is how these maps work. Because the way you move about these different levels, it can get confusing. These different levels are quite vast. They're big. And the reason why I'm saying the map takes away from that immersiveness is because if you've played games like the Assassin's Creed, any of the games from the Assassin's Creed franchise, if you have played The Witcher 3, which recently had the next-gen upgrade, you know how there is a mini map on the top right-hand corner in the HUD? And that is missing because with a mini map, what you can do is it does not take you away from that game. Here, you have to press a specific button on your controller, and you see how it takes you away from that game. So that immersiveness is lost. And this was probably one of my biggest complaints in the game. The maps really didn't work for me. And I hope and pray that the sequel fixes this issue and we have some kind of an HUD where you have like a mini map option as well, because hey, without that, you are going to get lost, and it can get frustrating when you're lost, when you have to understand how the maps work, because it can take a bit of a learning curve to understand how the maps work. Once you do understand it, it's fine. But hey, it's got that learning curve, which can be quite annoying and also taking you away from that immersive experience. So I have a big complaint with the way the map works. Now, apart from that, the story bit is pretty interesting because it talks about this ancient civilization, as you can see on screen, that was probably one of those Zepho sages. And this, I believe, was explained in an okay way, although it leaves room for more. I mean, you are going to ask more because you will wonder what happened to these Zepho sages or the Zepho civilization. What took them down? What led to their downfall? So that's not exactly or entirely explained in this game. And in the sequel, I would love them to use that opportunity because they've got a sequel, which is just around the corner. I would love for them to explain how the Zepho used the force powers, and did they also have this force sensitive, people, and also the dark side, and were they evil Zepho sages as well? So it'd be quite interesting to see that. But hey, they did kind of introduce the Zepho in this game in a good way, and I'm looking forward to seeing more of them. What I'm also looking forward to in this new game is a little bit of explanation as to what would happen with Cal Kestis. So I'm looking forward to the story of Cal Kestis. This is a character that you get invested in immediately. He's a likable character, I would say. Some of the protagonists of some games, they are absolutely unlikable. I mean, you don't like them. But this one, he's a humble character. He shows growth, shows progress. The character evolves because you start off as a nobody, and by the end of the game, you are a Jedi Knight. So there is character progress, and that's what you appreciate in the game. And what is also interesting from the plot point is that the main antagonist of the game is the second sister, or Trilla. And the similarities between you and Trilla is that both of you were Jedi Padawans. Now, one was, I wouldn't exactly say chose the dark side, but was forced in a way, but ultimately, you know how choices work, right? You decide whether you want to stay with the dark side or whether you want to move away from it. Because Seer, who is the mentor of Trilla, or the second sister, although she also kind of is lured to use the dark side, but she cuts herself off from the Force because she doesn't want to give in to the dark side. So it ultimately boils down to the choice. And what's interesting here from the plot perspective is that both the antagonist and the protagonist of this game, like you see, Trilla is a Jedi Padawan, and even you are a Jedi Padawan, but it's the choices that you make that really matter, and it defines you as a person. So it's always interesting to see how they can use a villain or an antagonist's story and make you feel for that villain. So yeah, you do feel for this villain, not so much, a little bit. I would have loved to see Trilla's side of things as well, a little more, but unfortunately, she dies by the end of the game. So obviously, we're not going to see any more of her in the sequel. So that was a missed opportunity. There is not a lot of the villain. So there's not a lot that you get to feel for. But hey, Cal is somebody that you will be invested in, and you would want to see the character even more. And thankfully, we have a sequel. So we are going to see the character a little more. Now, apart from that, I do want to talk about the gameplay as well. I kind of was cut off. I got a little lost in the plot, in the story, etc. But the gameplay is pretty simple. You have this lightsaber. You have an option of using it as a single lightsaber or a double-edged one as well. So there are two options in this game. And it's a shame that you don't have a third option where you have a lightsaber in each of your hands. Because if that was the case, if you had a lightsaber in each of your hands, that would have added a little more complexity in the gameplay, and it would have made it a lot better. Now, they do tease the whole thing of using a lightsaber on both your hands, but you never get the opportunity to use it that way. So that's a bummer. The good part is that the gameplay, the early gameplay videos that I've seen in the sequel, it does show that you are ultimately going to be able to use the lightsaber in that way. So I'm already looking forward to that, because I have now been completely used to using the single one and the double-edged one, and I'm looking forward to how you can split them up and then use it. So the gameplay is pretty nice. I mean, it's a standard affair when it comes to the gameplay. You will come across various enemy types like beasts from these different planets, stormtroopers, their generals as well, even bounty hunters, and ultimately you will face Trilla a lot of times. In fact, I think in the entirety of the game, you at least face Trilla a minimum of 3 times, as far as I remember. The final confrontation is obviously towards the end of the game, and you can get the opportunity to take Trilla down. In fact, you don't exactly take Trilla down, because that's Darth Vader who does it at the end of the game. So, yeah. And apart from that, you even have like a 9th sister who's like this massive, gigantic alien who is also a part of the Imperial Inquisitors. And I must tell you that as far as the gameplay goes, I really enjoyed the gameplay. I think it's pretty cool using force powers. You can pull things towards you. You can even blast objects or blast people away. And you can kind of push them off edges as well. So it's kind of an easy job when you especially push them off the edges. But hey, overall, I mean, I really like this game, and I think it does a really good job of introducing you to new characters from the Star Wars universe. And that is what is great about this game, is that although you have never seen Cal Kestis before, although you may never have seen Seer, well, you have Saw Gerrera from the live action, you could say, movies as well, and from the Star Wars universe. And it's good to see, that they're doing this cross platform, you could say, thing where they are introducing live action characters in the game world as well. But the good thing that this game does, or it does really well, is introduce you to new characters like Cal and make you feel for Cal. I would really have enjoyed if they could have even given us Starkiller, because Star Wars The Force Unleashed, man, I'm a big fan of that game. I really enjoyed it. Although the second game was really short, but overall, the story arc or the character arc of Starkiller was absolutely mind-boggling, and it was really good. I would have loved to see him in this game, at least parts of it, because it has Vader at the end of the day. And I'm kind of looking forward to seeing Starkiller probably in the sequel as well. It would be great if he is in the sequel in some way or the other. But Darth Vader here, you don't exactly get to fight him. It's not exactly a boss fight. It's just a very small part. You'll be able to kind of go up against him, but I wouldn't exactly call it a fight. It's not like a boss battle. It's just there to service the story towards the end of the game. But it'd be cool to see Darth Vader again and even Starkiller in the sequel. There are a few people who are talking about one particular character from the gameplay videos, which could be Starkiller. I don't know. If it is, it'd be pretty cool. So overall, I would say my experience with Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order has been really good. Apart from the whole thing with the maps, I didn't have any major complaints with this game. It performed really well. It's been optimized really well for the PC. And when I played it on the Xbox Series S, even back then, the experience in terms of the technical performance of this game was really good. I did not face any major frame drops or anything like that. And as you can see on screen as well, it's a smooth experience. Of course, if you're playing it on the PC, you have a lot of cheats as well that you can use. You have mods as well that you can use. And give it a try if you want to. It's on EA Play or Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. And I would highly recommend it. It would be great, especially with the sequel around the corner, to refresh your memory and take part in this adventure which spans across this Star Wars universe. Now, let me know what you think about this video. If you've liked this content, or if you've liked any of my other videos, I would greatly appreciate it if you could hit that like and subscribe button. It helps with the whole YouTube algorithm. It helps my channel grow as well, and it's free. So if you like this kind of content, then I would, yes, greatly appreciate it if you could hit that like and subscribe button, and thank you in advance for doing it. Apart from that, you could also hit that bell icon in case you want to get notified with all my latest videos. Now with that said, it's a wrap for this one, and I'll see you lovely folks in my next video. Until that time, I'll say take care, stay safe, and may the Force be with you. God bless you all.